I think about all the ways that we are living in this divided world where we easily make enemies for ourselves. Enemies around a school levy, right? Here in Loveland. Those that are voting for and those that are voting against. Enemies nationally, politically. We've got news stations that people prefer and ones that they don't. We've got these figureheads, and we love to make people into enemies. And what I love about Jesus is that he's always drawing us back to the firm foundation of our faith. And what Jesus seems to care about most of all isn't where you come from, exactly how you worship, exactly what cultural appropriations you build up for yourself. What he cares about is if you love God and you love me. And he's trying to orient this new humanity into that vision of a world where people see people and they see their actions, not all of the other baggage that we throw on top of them. That's my first takeaway from this lesson. But it's also a lesson in gratitude, isn't it? Certainly we could highlight the other 9 who don't return. Where are they? We could be really critical of them, almost like Jesus seems to be here. Where were they? Where are they? We could speculate, right? Depending on our attitude, we could assign, we could guess. Some of them, maybe they were ungrateful. Maybe they just, yep, I've been sitting here as a leper for 2 years and, it's about time. Why weren't you here like a year ago, Jesus? Thanks. Going on my way. Or could it be that they were so elated that they had been healed, that they were running to their families, that they couldn't have been around for as long as they had leprosy? Could it be that they were so overcome with joy and excitement that they were running into the marketplaces, or that they were doing exactly what Jesus told them to do? Go to the priests and show yourself there. Either way, we see this beautiful response before we get this one that Jesus points out. He gives worship and praise to God. He thanks God. And in doing so, he's blessed twice. And that's the way gratitude works in our lives. He's blessed first because he's healed. He's received a healing, something he's longed for in his life. And that's a blessing in and of itself. But he's blessed a second time through his appreciation, through his gratitude. I remember traveling across the country once with my best friend Chris, and we were stopping at the Grand Canyon, and we got there just in time to see the sunset. And we rushed out of his car, and we made our way there, and right as the sun was setting, we took in this beautiful vista. If you've ever been there at sunset, you know what I'm talking about. Breathtaking, right? Chris and I were both blessed by that experience. But Chris turned to me after the sun had set, and he gave voice to that blessing. Wasn't that amazing? And we spent the next 10 minutes just sitting there, talking about how cool it was to see the sunset over the Grand Canyon. We were doubly blessed because we gave voice to the blessing we had already received. But so often in our lives, we're running too fast to realize or to carve out time to do that. Not every day is a Grand Canyon sunset experience. Believe me, I know that. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-year-old at home. A wife who's had a back injury this last year. Not every day is a sunset at the Grand Canyon. But I feel like often, because of our busyness, because of the burdens that pile up, because of the dishes in the sink, because we've conditioned our minds to always find the next thing we should be doing, we fail to take those moments to give voice, to name the blessings we've already received. Another fascinating thing about this, biblically, 3 words that all have the same root word. They could actually be translated any one of these 3 words in different contexts. The first word is gift. The second word is grace. And the third word is gratitude. Gift, grace, and gratitude all have the same root word in Greek and in Latin. Isn't that amazing? When we focus on how everything we have is a gift from God. Even our own lives. Even our own bodies. I've said that before in a Bible study, and someone said to me, is that really true, Pastor Lorne? Because I worked really, really hard to earn a paycheck, and this guy over here is just sitting there doing nothing. So is it really just a gift? Can I earn it? We'll get one layer deeper. Who gave you your body? Who gave you your life? Did you create yourself? No. Everything is a gift. Your breath, your life, your skin, your hair, your work ethic is a gift. It's a gift. Well, what is a gift but grace? We can convince ourselves over and again that we've earned it, or that we've behaved a certain way, and so we receive gifts in time. But if we're really honest with ourselves, and we look at ourselves in the mirror, we know that the most precious gifts in our lives we've received as grace. Even when we don't deserve it. Even when we don't steward our resources appropriately. God showers gift again and again and again. And what is the response to God's gifts and God's grace? It's gratitude. It's the same word. The same root. Our response is that we overflow and we recognize and we give voice to the source of that gift. And so I want to do something a little bit different just for a minute or so. I'm going to stop speaking and I'm going to invite you to take that moment. The sun has just set over the Grand Canyon. Let's sit for a moment. Collect your thoughts, and I want you to name one or two or a handful of things for which you are grateful for. And I want you individually to just thank God for whatever that might be. Deal? All right, so take a breath. Let it out. Let's thank God. Holy God, you are the source of every good gift in our lives. God, you are not only the creator, but you're also the sustainer. You continue to show up day after day after day. Help us to see all of those things, Lord, in which you are calling us to be grateful for. For our bodies, even though they fail. For our relationships, even though at times they're fractured. For our hearts, even though there are many days when they are tender. For our resources, even in those moments or those years when we feel like they're stretched too thin. God, help us to see that most often our burdens are directly connected to our blessings. Give us those eyes to see the world as you've created it, alive and full and oriented towards hope. And help us, Lord, as your disciples, to live abundantly generous lives. Generous with our resources, generous with our spirit, generous in the way that we care for one another. Because, Lord, you teach us that when we do that, we care for you. Amen.